This is Dr. Gina, and we're talking about breaking the stigma. What are we breaking the stigma of? Well, it's Mental Health Month. I like to talk about mental health. If you ever saw our show, Happy, Healthy, and Crazy, one of the phenomena in Happy, Healthy, and Crazy is understanding you don't have to be in a stigma just because you have different mental health issues at different times. So we got three major points to breaking the stigma. First of all is you got to understand that there is flexibility for the time that you're in that is within reason. Say for right now, during the coronavirus, do you know that it is actually normal to have an acute stress reaction? That's considered a mental illness. Well, guess what? It's really not when your primitive brain is like, I have to be in survival because there is something dangerous. Is there something dangerous? Well, I don't think we're social isolating and social distancing and businesses are closed because it's not dangerous. So when your primitive brain activates, it causes you to wake up in the middle of the night because your brain's like, we got to check and make sure everything's safe. It causes you to eat a lot because it says we must store food because we don't want to go into a famine. Your primitive brain's pretty primitive. It's not westernized for the American culture. It goes throughout the world and it functions all the same way. So flexibility is really what mental health is, and that may be different for situations like, is it normal to cry and not want to go out after someone has died? Absolutely. So some of the things I teach about mental health is that you are experiencing what is normal for an abnormal situation. Trauma responses are normal for an abnormal situation. One of the ways you can break stigma is recognizing there is flexibility within the time and for whatever it is you're experiencing. Number two is work within and operate within your own norms. So a norm is what works. So we think of social norms. So there's like this idea that, well, this is what the norm works like. Well, in your own self, you have a certain amount of norms too. That means this works for me. If it works for you, it may not work for everybody else. Maybe you're a little quirky. You know, I have people that I've seen over the years that are dyslexic, but you know, my theory is that they're really meant to be artisans. They're not supposed to learn in the traditional way. So many of them are very creative with their hands. They actively learn by what they see and what they touch, and they learn by experience. So that's within their norm. Does it make them mentally ill? No, they're mentally healthy within their own norm. So the second point is find your own norm and operate within that norm. And the third one is ignorance is not bliss, ignorance is ignorance. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, if many of you have been involved with the church, because I come from that, very often there's a lot of ignorant statements that come from the pastors who have never maybe experienced mental health issues in their family. Like, if you just have enough faith, you wouldn't be depressed. If you just had enough faith, you wouldn't have panic attacks. If you just had enough faith, you'd quit drinking that alcohol. Well, there's a newsflash that there is diseases related to mental health, and you have to treat those diseases accordingly. Like they wouldn't tell a diabetic, if you just had enough faith, you can get off of that insulin. Or a person with having a heart attack, just have enough faith, don't go to the hospital. No, it's the same way. Your brain is made up of a bunch of chemicals. So ignorance is not bliss. Don't be ignorant. Learn about mental health topics, and then you'll understand how to break some of the stigmas. This is Dr. G.